Welcome back, everybody, to the Cirque Show 24/7, and this is Batman: The Dark Knight Returns Part 1 review. So let's get right into it.
Batman, darling.
Alright, guys, The Dark Knight Returns Part Uno. Now, going into this movie, it had a lot riding on it, you know what I mean? It had so much anticipation for it because of the Frank Miller novel. It was just when you first read it, it just took you by surprise. You know what I mean? It was just so out of nowhere, and it just changed the whole landscape and the whole aspect of the Bat mythos. And it was just like, wow, that's a Batman story right there. You know what I mean? So when you heard about it going into it was going to be made into an animated movie, you was like, hey, now come on, don't touch something that's not broke. You know what I mean? You don't have to touch something that's not broke. But because doing an animated movie, you have to think of the aspects of that. Frank Miller book was very gory, very violent, very vicious, very adult oriented. So how would you put that into a animation for kids and stuff? And the way DC Animation did it, and the way everybody who worked on this movie did it, was brilliant. They didn't touch it. They whatever was in the book, they put it in the movie and they expanded on it. And that's how I think you were supposed to do this movie. I think that's how you put this movie into justice, and that's the way you treat a story like this, because it's so important to the Batman mythology and the Bat history, and it just has a special place in a lot of people's heart that you don't touch it. You know what I mean? You animate it and you put voices in it and you keep it just as it is, the same art form and the tone of it. And I praise anybody who was smart enough to say, we don't need to change the look of it, we need to keep it the same. I praise the person who thought of that idea because it was brilliant. Part one was excellent. It has to do with Batman. He's old. He's old as hell. He's been retired for a long time, and here comes these new baddies called the mutants. They come in and they trying to wreck stuff. The old slice and dice, show them who's nasty. You know what I mean? The slice and dice. I love that for some reason. I'm gonna get a shirt that says slice and dice, show them who's nasty, and you might get put in jail, but I'm gonna get that shirt. But yeah, these mutants. They come to terrorize, and this one mutant thinks he's the tough stuff. You know what I mean? He thinks he's the man, but he has to call out the man. You know what I mean? He's got to call out the man of Gotham, which is Batman. Batman comes out of retirement, and he goes along this journey. You see what I like about part one is you see Batman is not the Batman he was 20, 15 years ago. He's old, he's rusty, he's trying to climb up stuff. It ain't really working for him. His back is always hurting. So I like that aspect of it. The one thing they did change about it, which I thought was, I guess, a good idea, but in the book, he's talking to himself, and you understand that. You understand that, like, he's thinking out loud and stuff, and that's how the book portrays it. But in the book, I mean, movie though, he doesn't do that. So that was the one minor gripe, because you want that part, but I could understand why they didn't put that in there, of him like talking to himself and him like voicing his opinions like out loud. So other than that, it was still good, because you still had so much in it. You had that new Robin with Carrie, and the whole look on that, because she not only is she the new Robin, she's a girl Robin. You know what I mean? So it took everybody by surprise. Like, hey, what's going on here? And I like that. Frank, he took that chance, and it worked in the long run. You know, it really did. It worked in the long run, and the end of this movie that just sets up what part two is going to be is, you know, with the Joker. But before we even talk about that, you know, Batman, he has this great moment with like Two-Face, you know, Harvey. He gets his face, you know, fixed or whatever, got the plastic surgeon top notch, and you know, he goes through his issues and Batman has to deal with that. So I like that they brought in the older characters and see how they developed over time and how they were, and how Batman is still like this big outsider, and you know, people don't want him back. You know, some people don't want him back, some people don't even know who he is, you know, and some people just think he's a myth. But I like that one moment with the cop when the younger cop was like, hey, let's go get this guy. And you know, the older cop's like, what are you talking about? This is the Batman. You need, you know, sit down and shut up and let this guy work. So I like that. You know, I thought that was very good because he understood, like back in the day, you're like, Batman handled it and we just shut up and just let him do it. You know what I mean? And this new cop's like, hey, forget that, son. And I like that, you know, that older cop had to kind of say, you know, slow your roll. And you see that influence that it has in so many movies, and especially the new Dark Knight, the Dark Knight Rises. You see that influence that this book has in the Dark Knight Rises, which is so good. So you know, this first part has a lot that it had to live up to, and I think it exceeded on every level. You know, I really do. I really do think that it did what it set out to do, and it gave you like that passion. Like, oh man, this is how I thought of it in my head when I was reading it, you know. So that's always good, and I really do enjoy it. And the way it ended with the setup with the Joker for part two is just phenomenal, because the Joker was not prominent in like the first part of the book, and you know, in the movie he wasn't either, but you got that subtle little hint that, you know, he's there, but he doesn't feel like nobody because his best friend is out of the job. You know, his best friend retired. So once, you know, the Joker realizes that his best friend is back in the game, then he gets that little itch. He scratches that little itch, and just a phenomenal scene, which I really do enjoy. Like him, just when they say the Batman and he's looking on at the TV and he's just scratching, and then he gets that grin and he says, "Darling." You understand how much Batman means to him. You understand why the Joker is the Joker, and it just sets up for a great part two, which we'll talk about pretty soon. So overall, I thought it was great. I thought the voice actors were phenomenal. The slice and dice was, you gotta love it. The only thing that I wish they would have added in the book, it was this one scene when Batman, you know, he's hurt and stuff. He goes to the Batcave. He takes off all his clothes, takes them all off, and then Carrie goes looking for him, and then he comes back basically butt ass naked, and then he gives her a hug. And I wish they would put that in there. For some reason, I don't know why. I know it's like weird, but I was like, dude, if they put this in here, this movie would be just so badass. But they didn't. I understand why, because of the whole little girl and grown ass man thing. But in the book, it was so funny when you read it. But overall, great movie. I loved it. Can't wait to talk about part two. What did you guys think about The Dark Knight Returns Part One? Did you like it? Please tell me in the comments below. So please like this video, comment, subscribe, and as always, guys, this is the Search Show 24/7. Be easy.